Sustrans interviews the candidates for the West Midlands mayoral elections 2021.
Hi, I'm Liam Byrne. I'm the MP for Hodge Hill and Labour's Shadow Mayor for the West Midlands.
My name is Steve Caldwell. I'm the Leader of the Opposition on Solihull Council, and I am the Green Party's candidate to be the next Mayor of the West Midlands.
Hello there. I'm Andy Street, and I'm the current Mayor of the West Midlands and also the Conservative candidate for the next mayoral term.
Hi, I'm Jenny Wilkinson. I'm the Liberal Democrat candidate for West Midlands Mayor.
We do not believe that the current level of funding is enough to achieve the target of 50% of journeys in the West Midlands towns and cities to be walked or cycled by 2030. What level of investment are you willing to commit to? At the 2019 general election, Sustrans asked government to commit 5% of the transport budget on walking and cycling in the 2020-2021 year, which is £17 a head, rising to 10% by 2024-2025, which is £34 a head. This would support local infrastructure and programmes encouraging everyday walking and cycling trips.
So the short answer is we don't know. At the moment, I hate to be the one to say it, but the combined authority is going bust. There is a £1.2 billion black hole in the investment programme, and there's about a £35 million black hole in the revenue programme that opens up in the next 2 to 3 years. So until basically we're elected and we've been able to go through the books and work out how much money we've genuinely got, we don't know what is the level of investment. That said, my target is to be a net zero carbon city region by mid-2030s, and we can't do that with quite a significant modal shift, so moving people out of cars onto public transport and crucially into cycling and walking. But the investment programme that I put down will be the investment programme that we together judge is needed and sufficient to help us deliver this target of doubling cycling over the next few years and getting to that target of 2030, where we hope that half of all journeys inside cities will be walked or cycled.
So yes, I quite agree that this is not a problem that's going to be fixed solely by good intentions. It is an ambitious target that actually we should treat as a baseline and not a benchmark. We should be aiming definitely for at least 50% by 2030. That, for me, shouldn't be the target to aim for. It should be the target to exceed. And that needs investment. That needs meaningful support from the combined authority. I support the recommendations of the Cycle Charter. So I would produce a costed plan for how to deliver the improved infrastructure I spoke about. I'd be looking to ask government for at least £10 per person per year in the West Midlands, and I'd want to drive that up over time. A medium-term target would be more like £20 a year. And I'd be aiming that investment would deliver a network that would allow us to actually deliver a percentage of all of our trips, not just the trips within towns and cities, within the next 2 years.
So in answering that question, I think the first thing we should do is actually look to see what I've done already to have sort of confidence in my word here. And back in 2016, I said I would get to £10 per person per year. And that seemed a real stretch in 2016, but that is exactly what we've been able to do, bringing in some government funding and put some of the funding that was at the behest of the combined authority. And that's driven forward our cycling investment. Looking forward, I would like to stretch that number. It's going to be difficult to stretch it, giving budgets. So I'm going to be relatively modest and say we will increase it, but we haven't yet set a target above £10. We need to hold that and then press on forward from it. And we do believe that over time, that will be sufficient to get to our targets, particularly as if you look at the number of car journeys that are taken, about 40% of those journeys actually are for less than 2 miles. So if we can improve the cycling and walking infrastructure and indeed just make it more fashionable and get the message home to people about how good it is for health and environment, we think we can achieve the targets through that pressure as well. So we will increase the amount by a small amount on top of the big leap that we've already made, and we believe that will be sufficient to get to our target.
So it's fundamentally important that we actually get proper funding for this and what we need. And I really want to look at this from a sort of bottom-up approach in terms of what is needed. So there's some great plans in place for cycling and walking network, and I think there's scope to expand that as well. So it's really, I sort of see the question in the way around in terms of what funding is needed to deliver that. So let's have a proper sort of view and concept and budget of what funding we need, and then be looking for the sources of those funding. I think it's a challenge for the West Midlands Combined Authority to fund projects, and very much we're dependent on getting funds from different sources. Central government funding's an important part of that, and obviously there is some funding available for the active travel fund that's available to us, alongside the levies for the constituent authorities as well. So I think it's a question of looking at what funding is available and really understanding what funds are needed to implement those plans that we've got in place. I know in the general election we're talking about it should be getting up to sort of 10% of the transport budget should be spent on cycling, and I think that's a realistic target. But as I say, I'd like to sort of combine that with understanding what the costs are to really put in place the plan that I'd like to see.